What's happening?
Time for songs.
Take this time to consider your past deeds.
Stop asking questions. You had your chance. Let the games begin.
What up, visionaries? Well met to Velen's Chosen episode 26, the email episode. We're a podcast that gears to buff the game of the budget players with limited collections. We help you get a little bit more competitive each ladder month that expires. We want you to get higher and higher on that ladder, especially through standard as it comes out, and do it in such a way that you don't have to necessarily dump a bunch of money into the game for your card pool. Today, joining me, I have Miss Eve Martin on your far right.
Hello, everybody.
And Joe Hamboy12.
Hey.
What up, what up? So we're gonna have a little bit of a different show because Andrew's not here this week. We might be able to pull him in midweek or mid-show, but this week is gonna be a different style than what we normally have, where we just talk through stuff and then we have like a guest on and main topics and stuff, where the whole show is basically emails, and then we're going to talk with Joe a little bit about his prelim experience, and then we'll talk a little bit through a deck that we saw at the preliminaries. So let's kick it off with our Mechanical Wonder deck, the Chess Dude 123 Control Priest.
What a contraption!
Isn't she scrumptious? She's my revolutionary, non-pollutionary mechanical wonder.
I love that soundbite so much every week. All right, so we put a link in the show notes to this list, and I'm going to kick it over to Joe because he hates talking about Priest because he thinks it's bad.
Yeah, so I don't think Priest is a real class. And actually, my friend, when I was at prelims, I was sitting right next to LVYS, and he actually played against Chess Dude. And I was like, oh, he's playing Priest. Like, that's a free win. It's such a bad class. He'll just beat Priest 3 times.
Yeah.
And then he got 3-0'd, so that didn't happen. But the deck basically is built where you just beat up on aggro decks. So if you really, really hate aggro decks, you just beat them like 90% of the time. Then you flip the other matchups. But everyone just plays aggro, right? So, like, you don't have to worry about the other matchups.
Yeah, even though we're playing in what they call a mid-range meta, like aggro decks traditionally right now are kind of a fusion of that, right? Like Secret Palady is an aggressive mid-range list, and then aggro Shaman is really, really fast, aggressive only, and then Zoo is kind of a board-centric, fast-paced mid-range deck.
Yeah.
Aggro Shaman is my wheelhouse, man.
Yeah, that's Eve's deck of choice.
How does it feel as
Yes.
aggro Shaman when Priest double flash heals on you?
You know what? Like you say, I don't run into that many of them on ladder. It's not that big out there. And honestly, when I was looking at this list going, what are we going to sub in? What are we going to sub out? It's such a confusing deck to me because there's so many other classes that what they're trying to do is very obvious. With Control Priest, it's like they don't have their own plan. They just want to screw up yours.
They're basically, I think the best way to look at this
Right.
deck list is being a control list. It's not your typical control style like you would see in other card games. This Control Priest list, even though it doesn't have Thoughtsteal, you could probably move that in there. Like Zetalot has a Priest variant of this list exactly that runs double Thoughtsteals. But basically, Priest will operate when it controls the game in its best sense, will basically be anti whatever you're trying to do, the best of any class. It can anti do whatever you're doing unless it's control, and then it will lose that control matchup most of the
Right.
time.
So basically, it's a deck full of answers to everybody else's deck, which to me is not a fun way to play. And that's just me personally. I'm sure there's people out there that just love Control Priest, but it's like you don't have your own plan. It's just I have answers to whatever you're trying to do. And
me-
that's just not fun to me.
Joe?
To me, like, Priest is something you open up after you just got, like, stomped 5 games in a row. You're like, you know what? I don't want to have fun. I just want to make sure nobody else has fun. I'm just going to play Priest.
Exactly.
I'm just
Yeah.
going to entomb all their cards.
Yeah, there you
It's
go.
like pacifist, right? You sit back, you wait for the other guy to do something, and then you're like, okay, I'm going to stop that. I'm going to get rid of that, and I'm going to heal up. And it's all reactionary. It's not like I have my own plan and I'm going to get you dead before you get me dead. It's just, yeah. And it doesn't feel good to
So
lose to it because it's not like they have their own thing. They're just trying to mess with your thing.
So let's move into more of the how does it play, what does it synergize within the deck, what is it good against, right? So Joe, I'm gonna again pass it to you. What is the good matchups of this, and what are the bad
So you're
matchups?
you're good against any like kind of aggressive-ish deck. Like you can beat Zoo. You have so many board clears. You have double Light Bomb Holy Nova, double Alchemized Circle. So Zoo's like never
And the
gonna
Wild
make trouble.
Pyros.
Yeah, Wild Pyro. It's okay against Zoo. It's really good against Secret Paladin.
Mm-hmm.
It's somebody who plays a lot of Secret Paladin. It ruins my day
Yeah,
quite often. And
Those
then
Death Lords are just murder to aggro shaman.
they're
Yep.
really good. Because Secret
Death Lords
Paladin
are-
doesn't have a whole lot of huge bodies that it normally pulls. Like if you get lucky off of that, then it's kind of GG unless you have Entomb. But
Well,
Yeah,
I mean, we don't even run a silence, so
You don't
Death
need a
Lord
silence
comes
in
out,
this
it's
list.
Pretty much. No. I mean, in Shaman, if Shaman came up against 2 Death Lords,
you
he'd
don't
just
run an
be like,
Earthshock?
You can run one Earthshock. Most people don't run
One.
two. And even then, you silence one Death Lord. Number two comes down.
Yeah,
And
you're
that's
just like,
just it.
I have to use my lava on this, my lava shocks.
Like, yeah, you're just never going to win a game that you've had to, like, pump 10 damage into a Death
Yeah.
Lord or 12 damage into a Death Lord.
yeah,
So,
yeah.
that card
Pretty
on its own beats Aggro, Shaman, and
Mhm.
Zoo a lot of the time.
Okay. So just Joe, how many games did you get a chance to kind of pilot this with this week, if any?
I don't think I've played it that much this week, but I've played it in the past quite a bit, and I've watched my friend Bloody play a lot, because he thinks Priest is good. I don't think Priest
Mhm.
is good.
Well,
And
the
his
thing
fa-
is, Dragon Priest isn't bad, right?
I didn't think it was bad, and then somebody won Tuesday Night Hype with it on Tuesday, so I guess
Yeah.
it's good.
Yeah. I just saw that list too. It was really interesting. Some of the
Like,
deck
it's way more
choices.
expensive, right? It's
Yeah.
not really something we would give to our budget players, but
Yeah, that's the problem with the
Dragon
Dragon
Priest
list.
at least has like a theme, and it's fun,
It's
and it has
easy
its
to build, I
own-
think.
Well, it has its own plan, right? It's like
Yeah.
tempo.
Yeah.
Is it tempo?
Yeah, you
or
actually
value?
get to play your own cards as opposed to
Yes.
basically.
You do play your
Yeah.
own cards in pretty much every
Like
game.
for every turn, my card's going to be better than your card. That's basically what it is. And then you get to the end, you've got like Ysera, you've got Vol'jin, whatever you threw in there. So you have a bunch of endgame stuff.
Yeah. So, before we move into substitutions, because I feel like that's the biggest discussion with Priest right now. Like, if you want to play Priest optimally, you're going to be cycling cards like crazy on ladder. Like, almost every 2 games you could swap cards. But
Cycling cards, like
like
tucking in
depending
and
on
out
what
cards?
you're seeing, yeah, exactly.
Changing
Okay.
the deck, not
So-
just drawing through your deck, right?
Right.
Yeah, because cycling to me means drawing through your deck. So I was
Yeah,
confused
that's
there.
one thing that this deck doesn't do, or the Priest is known for doing, is cycling cards for starters, right? Like,
Warshire Cleric.
the Cleric draw engine is insanity, and it's the only draw engine in this deck. Like,
Power World.
yeah, that and the Power Word Shield,
Power
there's just
Word
so much,
Shield.
so much stuff. You basically drop a Cleric and a Wild Pyromancer, and and if you have those on the board already, or if you do that with an injured Blade Master and you circle, it's like destroy the board and draw 3. It's pretty nuts. So,
Technically, Entomb puts a card into your deck.
yeah. So it does win the fatigue match. I did watch one of the deck games that I was using to find the deck list and compile it for the show. Was Chess Dude, I think it was against Chalky. Yeah, I think it was against Chalky, and Chess Dude ended up winning, but he was playing against Druid and fatigued the Druid with this deck.
Oh boy.
It was absolutely bonkers. He basically entombed both of the Ancients of Lore in order to use them as a heal or a burst damage with Akanai at late game. And it was really, really good. And he used those and flash heals on himself to outlast him and just destroyed the Druid. It was insane. So, yeah, let's jump into the deck then.
Can you
I'll-
choose where that healing goes?
Yes, it's a point and shoot heal.
So you can use it on the opponent?
Yeah.
I never knew that combo.
It just says
Which
heal.
It's just kind of a weird
heal
combo
target
because you
for
have
5.
to be a priest.
Yeah. All right.
But-
So the main things that we really need to jump into, so we have time for the emails, which is the other half of the show, is the deck list. So I'll just run it through. Basically, you're running 2 circles, 2 flash heals, 2 power word shields, 2 clerics, 2 zombie chows, 2 museum curators from League of Explorers, 2 wild pyromancers from Classic, Shadow Word Death from Basic, Velen Chosen from GVG, Death Lords, 2 of those from Nax, 2 Blade Masters from Classic, 2 Auchenite Soul Police from Classic, 1 Holy Nova from Basic, or Classic. Yeah, it is a basic card, never mind. And then 2 Entombs from League of Explorers, 2 Light Bombs from GVG, 2 Cabal Shadow Priests from Classic, and 1 Sylvanas Runrunner. So the epics are the 2 Cabals and the 2 Light Bombs, and then you have 1 Legendary, which is Sylvanas. All right?
What's Entomb?
Entomb is a basic from League of Explorers.
Oh. I still don't have Sylvanas.
So what? Let's talk through the importance of Sylvanas in this deck real quick, Joe, if we could, and then we'll move on to substitutions.
Yeah, I don't actually think Sylvanas is like tremendously important, to be
Yeah.
honest. Like you look at legendaries and other decks like Tyrion and Paladin or something, and it's not like on the same level. It's like a decent mid-range minion to drop into like decks like Druid or like I don't know, like Secret Paladin or something, but like I don't think it ever really wins you the game. I'm trying to think of what else you could put in for it. Because you don't just want to put in like a 6-drop because that's not your game plan really.
Some people have been swapping it with the Shrinkmeister.
I was gonna say you've got the Cabal Shadow Priest, but you don't have any Shrinkmeisters, so
Yeah,
that
if you're
might
running
be
double
something to
Cabal,
think of. Yeah.
I could see a Shrinkmeister for sure. That'd be interesting.
It lets you win against the Aceras and the like.
Yeah,
4
Entomb
and-
is your plan for that is the only reason I would say not to do it. But like Shrinkmeister caballing a Belcher wins you the game, just
Yep.
like on the spot.
A lot of the times it will. So the other thing that you can actually sub out is one of the zombie chows. I've also seen that, and I've also seen people running in 2 Thought Steals here, and can also put in a Shadow Word Pain.
I wouldn't take out a Chow.
I don't like taking out the Chow because it makes your Aucheneyes that much better, and you're already running
Yeah.
double Flash Heal. So there are some lists that run 1 Flash Heal, and that seems like a better substitution than the Zombie Chow.
The thing about Chow is so often against Priest as an aggro deck, you lose the game because they just play Chow on 1, and then it just never dies, and it trades with like everything you play for like 3 or 4 turns.
Right, and I will say this, that if I was playing this list on a budget and I didn't have two Cabals, or I had 1 Cabal, or just no Sylvanas, I'd probably just put in another Velen's Chosen, because it just makes your Zombie Chows and Museum Curators and Wild Pyromancers that much tougher to remove, and makes your Holy Nova hit like a truck. So you have those options available to you. And Thought Steals can improve your matchups in some senses, but like if you think about the reason this deck is made is to counter aggro in a tournament lineup, that can actually show us why you want to have a Sylvanas in there. Sylvanas makes that Druid matchup that much better. It lets you take stuff, and it makes it really hard for them to remove once they've wasted their silences. It also...
I thought Steal, all of the things on this list have a purpose, and whatever you steal from the other person is not necessarily going to have any kind of use in this whole list,
Thought
So
Steal's
synergy.
Thought Steal just like gives you more cards to play with, basically. So in like
It's kind of
really
like a
long
draw
value
engine
games,
card.
it's good. So like you want it against like Control Warrior and in the mirror.
Just to have extra cards.
Yeah.
Yeah, but most of the time, like against like Aggro Shaman, you definitely don't want Thought Steal.
Yeah.
Like 3 mana do nothing against Aggro Shaman is a death sentence.
Exactly. So that's why I think that the Thought Steals aren't good in this list, because it's geared for A, tournament play, and B, against aggressive decks. This is what you're queuing into. So if you look at this deck as a tournament deck, you're going to be in a really good shape, because it's built to be specifically tailored to certain decks to hate on them even more. So if you want to put this in the ladder, you're definitely going to want to make some changes. Maybe Excavated Evil instead of the Sylvanas could also be another option. Maybe 2 Velen's Chosens and 1 Flash Heal instead.
Maybe 2 Holy Novas.
2 Holy Novas does work, but I would never run 2 Holy Novas unless I'm running 2 Velen's Chosens, because they have the spell damage.
Yeah, well, that's
If you're
good. 2 Valens Chosen, 2 Holy Nova.
if you're playing like a budget version of this deck, right, and you don't have double Cabal, you run like one Cabal, maybe one Light Bomb, double Nova, double Velen's Chosen.
You could do that, or you could run one Nova, one Excavated.
Yeah. Where do you get Excavated Evil? Is that's
League of
a LOE
Explorers.
card?
League of Explorers, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
And yes, Lightning Ruler in the chat, we are Velen's Chosen sellouts, so we will tell you that you need to use that card. So yeah, this deck is actually a lot of fun to play if you're just sick and tired of dying to aggro, because that's what I played it for. And it honestly, if you have a Sylvanas in your arsenal, or you don't, and like you just have the light bombs and the cabals, or just one light bomb, you can really do some serious damage despite this. Like, this is one of my favorite deck lists because that we featured on the show, because even though at max speed, or basically max cards, if you get all the cards for this, you're running it at optimum speed, there's so much flexibility within Priest to run this down with cheaper minions and cheaper stuff that it just makes it that much better to play. And you have just... So, to close out, I would like Joe to like run through the deck list and just look through it and say, these are the core cards that you should not be taking out, right? Or if
Yeah, well, you can't cut... Like, you can't cut Circle because you need, like, the Auchenai Circle combo. Flash Heal's good with Auchenai as well, so if you're running,
Would you
like...
run 2 of them, or would you only run 1?
You can run 1. If your goal is to beat aggro, then having 2 is nice, not only to remove stuff, but just to not die. But since it doesn't really do anything besides heal, it's a kind of a low-value card, so you can kind of run 1, especially if, like, you're not using it optimally a lot, if it's just kind of sitting in your hand. You
That
can't
was
cut...
my problem when I had it, is it sat in my hand, and I was healing myself with my hero power, so it was like, what am I going to do with this card unless you got Auchenai out?
The other reason that there's 2 in here is to just have another activator for Pyro. So
Yeah, you see if you watch people play Priest, sometimes they use it as a low-value heal, just as like a 1 damage AoE with Pyro as well.
Okay, I see.
Yeah, you can't cut Powered Shield, Cleric, Chow, Curator, Pyromancer at all.
yeah,
Maybe if you really don't see any aggressive decks, you can cut Shadow or Death.
you might even switch it with a Pain if you really hate aggro.
Yeah, it depends what you're running into. Valens, I like 1. We even suggested putting in 2, so I probably wouldn't suggest cutting that. Same thing with Deathlord. Blade Master.
Blade Master is that really weird slot.
You probably could cut it, but it's like a basic card, so you probably have it, I think.
Another option would
Yeah.
be Dark Cultist.
Yeah, I could see Dark Cultist in the 3 slot instead, especially like Dark Cultist with Deathlord is kind of good.
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't want to cut Auchenai. Yeah, Nova is pretty... It's not as good as Light Bomb a lot of times, but it's easier to get. So if you can't run 2 Light Bombs, you can probably run 2 Novas instead. Yeah, I wouldn't cut Entomb unless, again, you're running into like a lot of faster decks and you just can't find Entomb value anywhere.
Some lists just run the 1 Entomb as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, 2 seems a little bit much.
It's a good card, but sometimes you just can't find value for it.
Yeah.
Like, when you entomb Tyrion, it's good, but when you have to entomb, like, a Totem Golem, it's pretty bad.
I just like having 2 Entombs. It gives you a lot of coverage, plus the golden card looks amazing, so... And then we already talked extensively through Cabal and Sylvanas.
Like, yeah, we
don't
talked
need
about those
Sylvanas.
quite a bit. So nothing new there. And I think that's it. It curves out at 6. You don't run any, like, really big late-game bombs. You just run a bunch of removal. It's a fun time.
Yeah, anything that you want that's over 6 mana, just entomb it and you can have it.
Yeah, easy.
All right, so let's get into our main topic before we get into the emails, which is just a quick discussion with Joe about his winter prelims.
The might of Dalaran has arrived.
All right, Eve, do you have any discussion points to ask Joe about his travels or experience real quick?
I was going to ask you guys if you played Brawl this week.
I actually
was gonna
played Brawl.
ask.
I actually played 1 game of Brawl this week,
What did you think?
which is more than normal. I didn't like it. I don't like Brawl.
Yeah, Brawl is just a free pack thing for me.
I thought
I
it was
did
really...
hear-
This was a new one, right?
Yeah,
haven't
this
done this
was
one before.
everything gets charged plus taunt. And I heard that some people were playing Moltons and Rogue and just shadow stepping them and just hitting you in the face for like 24.
I ran into a warlock that was doing a lot of damage to himself, so he could get those 8/8s out super quick. And yeah, that was harsh.
That's
But everyone
hilarious.
else was like, all these cards that nobody plays are now cool because they come out with charge and with taunt.
Taunt. Yeah.
So everyone was playing.
I just
What is
played
it?
a boring
The
deck.
Rager? Is it what is it?
Oh, I saw people playing like Magma Ragers.
Magma
and Ice
Ragers.
Magma
Rager.
Rager,
Ice
Ice Rager, Eerie Statue.
Did not see that in the one game I played.
So many Eerie Statues because even if they don't attack, they're a 7/7 taunt on what, turn 4?
Yeah, I guess
So
I didn't
huge.
do that. I just played the Ancient Shades and slapped people for
Ancient
7.
Shades, saw a lot of
Saw some
Ancient
of those,
Shades too.
There's
And
also
then
a
they
really
would,
fun shaman
silence their Eerie
combo.
Statues, and then they. But if you like, what I found is a lot of times you were trading minions every turn, so a lot of times you could put that Eerie Statue out and immediately hit someone's face with it because they didn't have any minions out because
Yeah.
everyone was getting rid of each other's minions every turn. So yeah, I thought it was
threw-
fun.
I wanted to. I never got to draw it, but I really wanted to do this where I could drop on turn 7. You can drop a Gurubashi Berserker with Wind Fury on it. As a shaman, you just use the Wind Fury card for 2 mana, and you hit them twice, and the card just gets massive. And if they don't remove it, they lose. It's insane. All right. So Joe, I'll
So,
ask
yeah,
you.
that was what I was going to ask about.
Joe, I'll ask you. What was the travel like? How was the venue? How do you think it was
so
run?
I live in Michigan, so I had to drive down to Chicago and spend like 2 nights there, which was, I guess it was kind of fun, but that's a whole nother thing I complain about all the time is having to travel to play, but that's not a big deal. The venue was kind of nice. It was just a card store. It was just like me and like 3 other dudes sitting at a table playing Hearthstone for a couple hours, but it was a good time. I got to meet some other Hearthstone players. I got to meet LBYS, who I like occasionally like try hard practice with and stuff like that. So that was kind of cool.
And then how'd you do?
I didn't win very much. I won my first matchup, so I was like, "Oh yeah, I got this, easy. I'm just gonna win the whole thing." And then I think I won 1 game the rest of the day.
And who did you play?
I played who did I play in the first round? I played Prelude, who I don't know. I didn't know who he was. Then I played the lucky one, who was the number 6 seed NA this
So that
season.
probably
And I
felt
played
pretty good to lose to
Neobility, who's
him.
currently number 1 on the NA Legend ladder.
Wow.
So
So you lost to
But I mean,
2
everybody-
extremely talented players.
yeah, everybody's really good.
Do you feel like you learned a lot from playing against them?
I think I learned a little bit. I don't know. I was really just salty after I lost, to be honest. I lost the
I feel
Legion's
ya.
Bracket game to Shredder dropping an explosive sheep and then a mind control tech taking the best minion. So I
All
mean,
that
I
good
probably
RNG.
lost. Yeah, I probably lost for other reasons too, but when that happens, it's hard to like actually find the other reasons.
Like look
so,
past the bad RNG, yeah.
yeah, just blame RNG. It's a lot easier.
I remember
Oh.
reading your Twitter feed just be like, I can't wait for Standard.
Yeah,
Standard cannot get here soon enough.
Yeah.
I think Deathlord was one of those cards we didn't mention that's disappearing. When
yeah.
we
I'm
went
gonna
over
be
like
happy.
all of the cards.
I'm gonna be happy to see that gone too. Playing when you play decks like Aggro Shaman or like Seeker Paladin, sometimes like Deathlord on 3 just means you don't even get to play the game.
Yeah,
Like
feels bad.
not a good time. It's a good time if you're Priest, not a good time if you're anybody else.
I know everyone's like worried that the aggro is just going to take over. I mean, Deathlord and Sledge Belcher leaving is kind of a scary prospect. I know they're going to replace it with something,
Yeah.
but you're right. Those cards do feel very frustrating for someone who does like playing the aggro decks. Just like, damn
Speaking
it.
of frustrating decks, let's get into the emails.
Right?
You require my assistance?
All right, Eve, why don't you read our first email coming from Andre or Knox?
Or Nox. Hey guys, long-time listener, first-time emailer. I've been playing Hearthstone very casually since beta and used to be really bad, but my New Year's resolution was to get better and reach Legend by the end of 2016. To keep my motivation going, I built a website to track my progress, and in the month and a half since website creation, I've come to 3 conclusions. If you get serious about this even a little bit, you're going to get better. Makes sense? The Hearthstone community is filled with people that can and want to help if you reach out. This is true. There are a ton of people in the exact position I was in just a couple of months ago. Also true. This project I'm calling Legendary Chicken on legendarychicken.com. I mostly post about my progress, and I try to identify aspects of the game I'm struggling with and share how I try to overcome them. I've got a series called What I Learned, where I try to outline the biggest lessons I've had in the game so far on the site. I've got some feedback from users, and I tried to match the content respectively. For instance, I began a series of posts called Know Thy Enemy, where I try to point out the most common cards in the most common decks in the meta. Good idea. So far, the highest I finished was just shy of rank 7, so things are going well. I reached out to you guys because I know how much you're invested in helping average players get better, so I wanted to know if you have any tips on how I can run the site better. Any help is more than appreciated. Do you guys have a chance to go and check out his site?
I did putz around on the website a little bit. It seems really basic information, so he's definitely hitting that target between casual and competitive, as well as like basic and intermediate type, advanced, or basic and intermediate advice. He even added a couple videos on here and talked through some things. I don't know if I have anything that I would say that he could just do better, rather than like get somebody to take a look at your search engine optimization and get your resources going and share the love and tell people about it.
Yeah, I really appreciate that there are people that want to put content out there to help other Hearthstone people. Because to begin with, when you first start playing Hearthstone, it is tough. It is really tough to get through that initial, I'm losing a lot all the time. What am I doing wrong? Do I even want to hang out and tough it out and find out, can I get better, or should I just quit? So the more people that are like, you can do it, here's the tools, we'll help you, the better.
Yeah, I'm looking at some of his resources. It looks like you could definitely expand on a resources page and like extensively do maybe like a post on just streamers or just podcasts and like what they do. I know I did that on some other things. Talking about knowing your enemy. The one thing that I will warn you about is the tough thing about being in your shoes as a growing player is people like to watch that and they get entertainment value from that. But they don't necessarily want to learn from a newer or an intermediate player. They like to learn from the pros, right? They want to learn from the best. So the best people are kind of trickling down their knowledge down to somebody, and then that's why popular streamers that are pro players are way more popular than somebody that's like never broke rank 15, right? They just don't want to watch that.
I think to a certain degree you're right, and to a certain degree people sometimes want someone who's speaking the same language as them.
Yeah.
Like somebody who understands what they're going through. If you're watching a pro player, sometimes they don't talk through all the decisions they make, and you're left kind of wondering why they did what they did. If you find somebody who talks through everything they do, then yeah, that's excellent. But otherwise, you could be just as in the dark as you were to begin with if you don't know why they're doing the things that they're doing. So if somebody is going through the same thing you are, that kind of camaraderie of like we're in the same boat is appealing to some people, rather than someone who is like miles above and away and has no idea how you feel down
So
to
you
rank
think
18.
that he could make an improvement on the website by making it more of a community hub than a singular focus on one player?
I don't know. I think what's important in learning the game is having somebody who's not maybe like way better than you, but just a little better than you to learn from. It's hard for me to talk to somebody who's ranked 15, not to be like an elitist, but like I've been playing the game for so long that some things that like I wouldn't have understood as a new player a year ago or 2 years ago now like don't even register to me as a decision.
Right.
And like I
Yeah,
can
it
say the
becomes
same thing about
autopilot.
myself to somebody who's way better than me, guys that beat me at prelims like Neobility. So it's kind of hard to learn from somebody if like you said you don't really speak the same like language in terms of the game.
Exactly. Like all of your shorthands, Rob, like the way you talk about cards so quickly using like one piece of their name instead of the whole thing.
Yeah.
There are some people that are like, wait, slow down. What?
They don't
What
even
was
understand what the card operates as or what the card text says
Yeah,
and what the stat
and like
lines
the
are.
two, like even just Circle and Akanai. That's something that some people don't even know. That combo there. Like I was trying to teach my husband how to play the game, and he was like, okay, back up. Like you have to start at the beginning.
Yeah.
Because I have no idea what you're talking about. So,
Yeah.
And sometimes that's really helpful for somebody who's been playing for a long time to help somebody who's just starting, because then your mind goes, okay, how do I explain this to somebody who hasn't been playing? And it gives you a deeper understanding of how to play the game yourself.
So much of the game knowledge to me, like and understanding combinations and stuff, comes from observing games or playing them myself. Like when I see somebody do Akanai on the Akanai Soul Priest on the board with a circle of healing combination, and I'm like, never seeing this before. I'm like, oh, that is so dope. I would have never thought that.
The first time you ever see that.
Yeah, the first time Lightning Ruler opens a pack that has Ice Howl in it, he just thinks of 300 decks that cost way too much dust. So, I mean, you have these little opportunities available to you. So, keep doing what you're doing, I think is what we're saying. Keep making it a better hub. Speak the same language. Try to figure out what language appeals to people, and then maybe try to bridge the gap between the pros and the non-pros. Joe, why don't you read Gabriel's part 2 email from last week?
Yes, this is from last week. It says, congrats on your new Patreon supporters. Well deserved, and please give those guys a big shout out for me. And lastly, I've been meaning to ask this forever. What is the
Banaka
in Banaka Freak? Stay frosty, Gabriel. P.S. Regarding the t-shirt, I would definitely buy one. All right. Yeah, I can't actually answer that.
Do we know what Banaka means, Rob?
I think if you go back in the archives on within the first 5 episodes, Andrew does explain what Banaka Freak means. I was hoping to have him on the show this week to answer that, but if you don't get it, just hop on Twitter and send Andrew a message
DM?
or something. Yeah, a DM or a reply. I'll read Croven's double email here. So we have two questions we'll have to answer for this one. Croven says, this month's goal was to hit rank 5, and I peaked at rank 4 last night, which was actually like 2 weeks ago. And I am currently sitting at rank 5 2 weeks ago with 4 stars with the Aggro Shaman list. But within the 2 weeks left of the month, is Aggro Shaman competitive enough right now to make it through the last few ranks? So let's answer that really quick. Joe, you got a quick answer, right?
Yes.
No.
It's competitive enough to make it to top 10 legend, not even just a legend, so it's very good.
Okay. Also, I plan on...
I disagree with you.
All right, we'll get there, Eve. You can disagree here in a minute. Also, I plan on playing Standard, and I've got most of the Classic and TGT commons, and I have a growing collection of the rares. Is it worthwhile to go for Dust and Rare Plus cards that I'm missing in those sets, or should I wait for the new expansion? So I think what he's actually asking is, should I just
Because
dust
those
your
cards are
existing
gonna be around
cards
forever.
and then craft the rare and missing cards in those sets? I've also been holding back on spending. I currently have 400 gold, which he's probably have almost 1,000 by now. I would go into the arena more as that route, but I'm not good enough to make it worthwhile of a choice for saving for new stuff.
I think we've all been saying wait. And I think his question was kind of like, since the classic cards are going to be around forever, should I just fill out those holes because I'm always going to have those cards in standard? But I think we're kind of all going, wait. Don't do anything. Save your gold, save your dust. You don't know what new cards come out that are going to be like essential to have right away. So
I'm not even dusting cards that I'm getting in
Stock
my
up.
packs that I've got each week from Tavern Brawl. Like, I'm not even dusting them. I just have dust
Nope.
sitting there.
Don't dust any of them, because if they change any of them, then you'll be able to dust them for full value. So unless you like really need to dust to like play a deck or something, it's best to just hold off.
Yeah. I think, again, we'll do a little bit more of an update on what we recommend when March 9th hits the table, because that's like a Tuesday or a Wednesday, and then we'll have a show following that on Friday, and hopefully we'll have that out that same days for you guys to plug in your earbuds and listen to recommendations. But from what it sounds like, we can even spin this question back on what our predictions are now that we have this information. I don't remember if we said what our predictions were, but personally, I think they're going to make an announcement on March 9th saying we have a bunch of new cards coming. Here's the new set. This is the reveal. Here's a couple sample cards, maybe 10 to 20 of the cards right out of the gate. And then they have winter finals that weekend. And then after that weekend, that next week, they're going to roll out all of the new cards each day up until like Wednesday or Thursday, and then they'll drop all the cards the next week. That's my prediction. Joe, Eve, what do you guys have for input there?
I don't know. They change it every time, so I have no idea what they're going to do. I'm just going to be honest.
We're going to get it in March.
Yep.
Yeah, I hope we get it in March. I'm going crazy if we don't get it in March.
But do you want to talk about Aggro Shaman real quick and why you disagree with me on it?
Yeah, let's do that.
Because last month I tried to do that. I really love Aggro Shaman, and I don't think I'm anywhere near pro level with it, but I played it a lot, so I got to know it inside and out. But when you get to rank 5, which is where I got, I just ran into so many slow, control-y decks that I hit a wall. So I thought you need something that it has a little more versatility, something that has more answers. Like if you are really good at playing Aggro Shaman, then obviously you can take it to like top 10 legend. But it's really difficult, the kinds of decisions that you have to make against more control-y decks and more slow decks. So you have to be really good. So if he's saying his goal was to get to rank 5, then I'm guessing he's never been to legend. So it's possible he's in the same kind of boat as me, where that kind of skill is a little bit beyond me at the moment. So I had to switch to something that was a bit more stable. Because Aggro Shaman is like all or nothing. You really have to... You have to hit everything. You have to do everything right. If you make little mistakes, then
you can't make any mistakes.
Yeah, you can't make any mistakes with it.
Yeah, it's difficult.
Something's a little more forgiving, like Paladin.
True.
Yeah.
But like if you play it really well, then it's really, really good. I know Demigod played it to rank 1 last month. I played it to top 100 last month and then fell out because I'm bad. But I played it a little bit to legend this month. It's really good, but like you said, you have to play it perfectly. And if you maybe don't have the time to learn like every little decision, or you don't like trying to figure out every little, because it's like sometimes it's really boring for an aggro deck to sit there and take like 60 seconds to be like, oh, should I crackle face?
Yeah.
So it's good enough.
It's the kind of deck you want to play fast.
Yeah, it's good enough to get there, but you're gonna have to be pretty good at it, I guess.
So what are some of the common pitfalls that you're finding yourself in, Joe? Like learning the deck.
I don't really. I'm trying to think. Like I learned it last season because I played it top 100 last season. I think knowing what to keep in a lot of matchups is important. Some matchups, some matchups you want Feral Spirits. Sometimes you don't. Some against Warrior, a lot of times you want to keep Doomhammer, even though it's a kind of slow card. You should probably still keep it. And a lot of times it's just really important to get your 1-drop. I mean, you're going to be really good at the deck if you just go Tunnel Trog, Totem Golem, Feral Spirits every turn, or every time. So that's part of it, but...
Yeah, that was my only thing, was that, yes, if you're really good at it, then yeah, you can take it to Legend. But it is a difficult deck to play past rank 5.
But what about like just swapping cards, Joe? Like that seems like
I hate when people swap cards. I'm gonna be really on. Like if you
it's
take
a good deck the way it is.
If you look at the deck Demigod played to rank 1, that's the Aggro Shaman list I played. I don't change that because I know Demi's way better than me at the deck, so I don't touch it. If he changes cards, then I'll change it to match his. But the only reason I would change is if I don't have the cards to play it perfectly.
Okay. Because I did notice that it was either Chalky or somebody else that made their list a little bit more tailored for tournament play. They had put in, they said that his win rate was better when he put in a knife juggler. He had 1 flame juggler, I think 1 or 2 knife jugglers. He had a flame tongue totem as a 1 of in there, and he's like, sometimes just putting that in there gives you a little bit more damage when you're in the middle.
Hey.
So, looks like we got Andrew in the show. Hang on.
Sup?
Let's switch the stream over here.
Andrew's back. Andrew, we gotta ask you a question.
You asked me a question?
All right.
What does Banaka mean?
What does the Banaka and Banaka freak mean?
I'll explain in the show. Come on.
Okay.
All right. Well, while Andrew gets geared up here, is there any other final thoughts on Aggro Shaman, guys?
I agree with Should I call you Hamboy?
Joe's
fine.
probably.
Joe works. Okay. Yeah, it's just a really like that deck has really been, what's the word I'm looking for? Refined so
Yeah.
much. There's not really anything to change in it. I would not mess with it.
Nope.
And if you feel really comfortable with it and you think that you are really good at it, yeah, try and take it to Legend. I found out I hit a wall at rank 5 and I needed to go to something that was a little more stable.
Yeah, if everyone's playing that priest deck we went over at the beginning of the show, you're not going to be able to play that.
Oh.
So,
But it can beat the pants off of Secret Paladin, no problem. So if that's what you're seeing,
yeah.
that should be easy. Easy win.
All right. Oh, let's backtrack. Andrew, what does Banaka mean?
It's a minty spray.
Seriously?
I don't know if it exists anymore, but in middle school it was so popular at my school that me and my buddies in band, we played saxophone. We would spray this stuff on our reeds when we were getting ready for the day, and then we would play our saxophones, and it would be minty fresh.
Minty Reed Banaka Freak.
I would not have guessed that. Out of all the things I could have guessed, I would not.
I thought it was some Final Fantasy meme or something.
like a spray.
Yeah, it was a breath freshener. Kind of like Listerine strips, only in the form of a spray, you know.
Oh man. All right.
That mystery solved.
Eve, why don't you read Mauricio's email?
Mauricio, hey folks, I've been listening to your show for a while and have used many of your tips to great effect. Aw, good.
Hype?
I've been playing mostly Zulok. Okay, now I hate you. For a while now. And I've managed to reach rank 9 this season. However, it gets a bit tiresome to have only one consistent deck to fall behind, and more than that, to play most games using a similar game plan. I've been wondering if there's any more control decks I could build on a budget, or at least control-oriented cards that will stick around in Standard that I should work towards getting. I understand that's kind of hard to do on a budget, so if you guys can't help, how do you guys keep the game fresh while sticking to the same deck? Ooh, that's a good question. I would say Brawl is the place to have fun and change it up. So if you're getting bored with your deck, just go have fun like in Arena or in Brawl.
Mm-hmm.
But I definitely understand the burnout of playing one deck for a long time. Even if it's good, and even if you know it really well, and even if it's working for you, just having fun with other decks and changing things up.
Andrew,
Yeah,
thoughts?
I think a lot of the
Or
reason
Joe?
people don't switch sometimes is they're really scared about losing rank, and like playing one deck is pretty boring. I've been there, and I like honestly I think the easiest thing to do is just play other stuff. Try different things out. You'll probably lose ranks at first. You're not going to be like a genius with a deck the first time you play it, but you shouldn't worry about your rank as much as just getting better at the game. If you're getting better at the game every game, eventually your rank improves along with it. Like the number of times I've gone from like rank 1 to like rank 5 and then back up to like rank 1 again is ridiculous. So you just have to, part of the game is losing games, I guess.
I think one of the things you could do is play a deck that has random elements in it, because then it makes each game kind of more fresh. If you
Tempo
play,
Mage.
yeah, was just about to say that. You play Tempo Mage and it has a bunch of cards like Unstable Portal in it and things like that. So that changes up the game every time and makes it different, which is, Zulok is pretty much the same every time. It doesn't really change that much from game to game.
Yeah.
The only other thing to consider is combo decks, because they tend to be a little bit cheaper. You're not going to have a ton of legend or legend cards.
He seems to
And-
like control. Like that seems to be something he's
I mean, we did
comfortable
talk
with.
about
He
that
likes
priest
that
deck
kind
at the
of
top of the show.
Yeah, I was
so
gonna say, if you like control decks, might have discussed something.
if you want to really hate on them, yeah.
There may be two of us here that are not fans of Control Priest.
But if you're just looking for a change of pace, a combo deck plays generally different, and something like the Murloc Paladin list is all about stalling the game out until you get the right cards. So that can at least be a different play style for you to try out.
And Murlocs are fun.
Yeah.
Of course.
Awesome. Yeah, and guys, I think that's pretty much everything in our email department. We actually have time for this little news section. So if you guys scroll back up in your show notes to the news, we'll hit that real quick. Now, I'm kind of throwing this as a random thing that I always have in, but I read this on the Angry Chickens subreddit this week, and somebody had limited their play to see if it was possible to hit Legend by playing only an hour to 2 hours a day in each sitting. And he was able to, he wanted to do that as kind of his handicap on getting to Legend, all right? And he did it this last month in 26 different days. So I think
26 hours?
roughly,
right?
yeah.
An hour a day.
Right. So about 26 hours it took him to do this. Now, I will say this guy's probably a really good player for starters. He knows the deck he's playing, and his win rate is 66 percentile before he hit rank 5, and then it was a 63 win percentage after rank 5.
Did he say what deck he was using?
He was using a minion-based Reno Warlock list.
That's odd.
So it was the Thaddeus list, is my guess.
Yeah, just non-combo.
Yeah.
Is what he means.
Oh, okay.
All right. So he gave his stats and he even gave up a couple of his lineups and all that. And so, roughly speaking, that meant that he has played 188 games after hitting rank 5 for the first time to hit rank Legend from there. And it took him 75 games to get to the point where he was rank 5 at the first. Okay? So, I think we can really talk about pretty much any angle at this article or write-up that you guys want to. So it kind of got an open-ended news story
Well,
for you.
for the guy who's gotten the multiple Legends, I'd love to hear is this reasonable? Was this a lucky streak? What does this look like?
No,
to you?
it's reason. It depends how good you are. Like this is probably maybe about how much time it took me in like gameplay time, maybe even more. But it's just all about your win rate. Like if you win like 70% of your games, obviously you climb fast. I went from 5 to Legend one season in 30 games. So I got really, really lucky.
Mm-hmm.
But I think the important thing to note here is how much longer it takes to get from rank 5 to Legend than it does just to get to rank 5. A lot of people get to rank 5 and they're like, wow, I'm almost there. And
No.
in reality, it takes even longer to go from 5 to Legend than it does from Legend to 5.
Grind really begins at rank 5.
Yeah.
Because there are no win streaks.
Nope.
It's pure
Rank
percentages at that point and bulk of game, as Andrew was Hard Knocks learning a couple months ago when he did that hard push.
I think for March, I really need to slow down, and I think what I might do is just try something completely different. I've said on the show, if you want to get results you've never had, you have to do things you've never done. I think I want to commit to the month of March, literally documenting every game that I play, just so that I have some kind of data for what's going on. I tried it once before for like 2 days, and it was even helpful just for that, to see what I'm coming up against, how consistent I am with certain decks and stuff like that. Because this guy, I mean, you look at it and you can't be mad at him necessarily or anything like that, because he's got everything correct on here. He was able to analyze how he was doing in a very specific way, rather than just rely on emotions or feelings, I guess.
Yeah, that's the thing, is that a lot of the times, depending on your bad beats and different matchups, you can feel like things have been going a certain way, and if you're keeping track, then it might actually tell you something completely different.
Yep.
Like, no, actually, you're winning quite a few games, you're doing well. That was just a really bad beat.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember, was it 2 seasons ago when I went to Legend, I was like just really tilted the whole time because I felt like I was just getting like screwed off shredder drops, and like I ended up hitting Legend like really angry at the game. So like sometimes even though you feel like you're getting screwed, like you're really not, or your opponent's getting screwed worse than you are. So it's important to like have the numbers to look at and be like, oh yeah, this is actually fine. There's no reason to be tilted or anything like that.
And what I'll do is I have a spreadsheet that I've been using. Not regularly currently, but like if you're interested in doing what Andrew's suggesting, or just like having a pre-made spreadsheet that's like pretty much ready to roll, if you need to just cut and paste it and then format it yourself, I've got those. I will put one in the show notes for everyone to view only, so they can download it and like rip it over to their own Google Drive. And then the other thing that we would suggest would be to download Trackobot because it does it for you. You just go into Trackobot, you right-click the little thing in your tray, I guess it's called, and then open your profile, and you can set up cards that you see with specific classes to identify archetypes. So, like, if you see a Doom Guard, or if I see a Imp Gang boss and a Doom Guard and this card, then it's Zoo. And so it'll automatically label that deck that you played as Zoo. But you have to do all of this before you play. And you have to do it with like all of the decks. So it does take a little bit of overhead time to get it there. But once you do set that up, it's really, really nice. But yeah, let's go into our special thanks section of the show as we close out the day.
Thank you.
So, Andrew, we have an iTunes review from the Netherlands. Why don't you read this one?
Mogtachi, which I'm not sure what that means in Norwegian-ish, says, great podcast, especially for budget players. Oh, what a coincidence. And he says, great podcast in general, entertaining and informative, especially relevant for free-to-play, budget, and limited collection players like me. Hope this keeps going for a long time. Well, with your support and iTunes review, Mogtachi, it absolutely will.
Also, important to note, Norwegian is spoken in Norway and not in the Netherlands. They speak Dutch.
Oh, that's right. I read that wrong as Norway. Netherlandish. That's what I would have said. But yes, they do speak Dutch.
Nothing like pulling in Andrew last minute into the show to tell people in Netherlands what language they speak. All right, and Joe, why don't you read our review from the USA?
Yeah, this is from Moby the Man. Though they focus on new players, the show is great for all who play Hearthstone. I'd stayed away from the show for a long time because they focus on free players, and I'm far from that, having invested much real money into the game I love. However, last month I gave them a shot, and now this is my favorite Hearthstone podcast. Those are personable and friendly and seem to genuinely like each other. This is a rare quality in podcasting than there probably should be. They have great guests who help them break down the game that is helpful to any player, regardless of how many legendaries you have. I recommend the show to anybody interested in becoming better at Hearthstone.
I wish we could tell you how much we hate each other.
Yeah.
we hide it really well. That's
we fooled you!
Loathe them entirely. Straight out of the Grinch.
No, that is such a great review.
That is a perfect review. Thank
honestly,
you.
thank you so much.
That was such a kind words, man. We appreciate that.
That keeps us going. That's fuel in the tank.
I'm glad you gave us a shot.
Yes, thank you for not shooting us where it counts. All right, speaking of how to get involved in the show, Eve, why don't you tell people how they can get involved?
Well, you can give us a review on iTunes, just like these kind people did, and we will be sure to read it on the show and give you a thank you. You can share us with your friends. If you find us useful and informative, then you can tell your friend who is struggling with Hearthstone to give us a listen. Chat with us on Twitter. We always try and respond to anybody who sends us messages. Support us on Patreon. Play Hearthstone with us. Play Destiny with me. Request a host to coach you through your Hearthstone plays. Or email the show some questions, just like we answered today. We try to get to all of the ones eventually that people send us, even if it takes us a couple of weeks.
Yep. So, yeah, that being said, we have cleaned out our backlogs of emails and are now open for more.
Yes.
I will say this, guys.
If you're a Patreon supporter, then you get first dibs.
Yeah, you really do. You get first dibs on whatever happens. There is a new thing that we're going to be promoting on the show to let you know about this perk. But in Patreon, at certain levels of pay, which will remain a mystery until you log in, you can have access to our show notes during the week that we are editing them to watch and observe what we're going to talk about before we get there at certain levels of support. In addition, we are discussing internally about designing t-shirts as we have like the last couple weeks, and they may or may not be handcrafted depending on Eve's schedule, and once we get to a certain level of support, we might do that. So we have some new things in store for you that way. And this is another cool thing. If we get 100 subscribers on YouTube, we can actually give you a URL that's easy to find and not a bunch of numbers. Like, YouTube.com/Velens Chosen. We can't get that until we have 100 subs. So if you guys just slap us a sub, that would help us a lot. And it gives you an opportunity to find the VODs there. Last announcement, we have a Discord server. Eve, you just got the Discord server, right, recently?
Super easy to download off the App Store or iTunes, yeah. I use it on my iPhone. I'm not sure. I think you can get it other places as well, but that's how I got it.
Yeah, I have it on my
off
computer.
of the iTunes.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's good to have.
It's really nice. It's kind of like a chat log for anybody and everybody that's a fan of the show. It's all in there.
You can also do audio
that.
as well.
Yep, and it also functions as TeamSpeak, so that way you can do that. And then Andrew...
It's cool because you don't have to give people your personal information to be able to talk and chat.
Yeah, it's super private. And then Andrew, why don't you tell people about what happened this week with our website?
We switched it over to a new server, so it's got a little fresh look for you. It's like when it's your birthday and you get all those clothes from your mom, and you're like, really, Mom? But then you put them on and you're like, dang, I look dope. That's
So,
what our website
in this scenario, is Rob our mom?
No, wait. Rob is the website's mom. Let's
I'm the grandmother of this
Rob
show,
got us
and I will
clothes
like
for our birthday.
So if you go to VelensChosen.com, you'll see a new look, and it's pretty cool. Rob did a great job on that. So
It's pretty fresh and purple. Very purpley.
Squarespace. Yes?
Yes,
Squarespace?
we're not sponsored, so we're not going to give them any more shout-outs.
Squarespace.
If you guys like playing on Esports Hero and you want to compete against your friends for coins, aka you can dump in some currency there, and you want a 5,000 coin head start, you can use the code VelensChosen15 on esportshero.com to get some more coins. Joe, where can people find you?
I'm on Twitter at hamboy12_HS. I'm on Twitch, even though I don't use it, at hamboy12. And if you want my BattleNet, you have to harass me on Twitter for it. So.
All right. Eve, what about you?
I am on Twitter at Finnovar, FHINNOVARR, on Twitch as Eve Martin, and yes, same thing, you have to ask me via Twitter for my BattleNet. And I generally, if you send me a little blurb, I don't turn people away. I just want to know
She'll get a
your
restraining order. Don't be fooled.
Oh, and I'm also on PlayStation 4. Just tried out the new Division beta. Looks pretty sick. Having a lot of fun in there. And Destiny.
Andrew, what about you, ma'am?
I'm on Twitter at Andrew's Living. You can find arena tips on YouTube at Minty Spray Freak, or that'd be Banaka Freak. That's it. Oh no, in BattleNet, Andrew's Live 1973. You just add me, I'll jump in and be like, hey,
Andrew's the nice guy of the show.
I'm a guy who might know what's better on that play or not. I might help you win, I might help you lose. That's the fun of going to Vegas. So
all right, you guys can find me on Instagram and Twitter at NotRob, or on Snapchat at NotRobMay. You can find me on Facebook for I do like a design and photography portfolio for the Middle Eastern portion of the United States. If you are within the region and have some higher business you need a photographer for, events, weddings, seniors, whatever, just check me out at NotRob Media. I have my BattleNet in the show notes. You can access it there, but please send me a Twitter. I'll add you that way, but I kind of just decline them if they're not tweeted at me because I have full. And you can find me on Steam at Sir Twick. I haven't been playing like anything lately with Rocket League, but maybe we'll see. I guess it's because of Overwatch, so if you guys want to play some Overwatch, you can tell me. If you got any new beta keys, just like came out again last night, so some more people got in. If you want to watch the show, you can find it, and you can find it on my personal Twitch at twitch.tv/NotRobMay, and that is now a special line item on our website. So if you just go to Velens Chosen, click live stream, you can watch me or anybody streaming on our stream.
Yay.
So pretty cool stuff right there. I'm looking for more things. You can find the extended show notes on the Google Drive for the episode in our website, and in the show notes there I'll put a link. If you guys are curious about what the website looks like, just go and check it out and let us know what you think. We really appreciate all the iTunes reviews and emails that we received for this week's episode, and we deeply appreciate each and every one of you. So I think it's about that time, guys.
That's how you close the show out. Awkward silence.
We do it the best in the
I was
business,
gonna say,
man.
just like it seems like we still have a slow news week until Blizzard lets us know what else is happening
It's
with Hearthstone.
coming.
So
Yep.
keep
It's
sending
coming.
us those emails to give us something to talk about next week in case we don't.
Yep.
don't
Next
have
week
any
is our
future
last
news.
lull week, I guess you could say, before we get the big news.
Yeah.
But
Excited.
that being said, I will say this, that once Standard launches, and we have maybe 1 or 2 weeks of cards, experimenting, playing, tournaments, etc., then we're going to not only coach you on playing, but we would like to do what we call collection coaching. It's something that I haven't heard anybody else really doing, and I think is really valuable for budget players or new players that are looking to adjust their collection. By just having somebody in a Skype call or in a Discord server, hit us up. We'll sit down with you, look through your collection as you share your screen with us, and see if we can find some cards that you may not need, and dust them and make cards that you should need. That's something that we're going to probably provide in the future.
We'll probably talk about that on the show too. Cards
Yeah.
that we think, you could probably lose, and ones that you're really going to want out of the new standard.
Yep, and we totally recognize we can't always do that on every single show, so or even just every single card within a couple shows. So everybody kind of has their tailored collection that abides by different rules sometimes. So we want to provide that service to our viewers. So thank you guys for tuning in for episode number 26.
Not all who wander are lost.
Thanks for joining us in Exodar this week, peeps. We'll see you later.
See ya.
Bye.
Take this time to consider your past deeds.
Stop asking questions. You had your chance. Did I miss it?
All right, we're
I
clear.
like how you look like you're not sure what to expect, Rob. Is
I'm
it
a good
play?
actor. I'm a good actor.
What?
I did improv.